Hey, y'all. Hey. Welcome to the High Vibe Zone. I am your host, Response, and I'm here to talk about some high vibrational conversations that help us in the isms transcend our humanity. And I'm so excited to be talking to you all today. I want to talk about spirituality. I think that this topic is widely held through a lot of different humans. And so today, that's just what I'm feeling. This will be a nice, quick live. So if you are joining me in the High Vibe Zone, just go ahead and drop in the comments your name, what you're grateful for, where you're coming from, where you're joining from. So drop that in the comments. I'm so excited to see y'all. Like every High Vibe Zone, we are going to start with the encouraging card of the day. So I'm alone today, so I don't have a guest. It's just going to be me. So we're going to just keep this like short and sweet, but I wanted to do a live. I figured I wanted to talk about spirituality, so this is what we're going to talk about today. So as I shuffle the encouraging cards of the day, if you're out there watching in LinkedIn or YouTube land, just give me a hey, let me know that you're there, drop an emoji. It's really good to spend time with y'all. I've been doing these lives for a while now, and I honestly thought about taking this month off. Tony and I did a live last week. That one was a really good conversation. In case you missed it, I can drop the link in the comments for the recap, but really great conversation. Shout out to Tony if you're out there. But I was debating on whether to do a live this month. There's a lot of things going on, and I just was like, I could use this space. But today I was like, I'm just going to do one, and it doesn't need to be long. So just shuffling those encouraging cards of the day, and I'm going to pull one. Oh, Tony would love this. Live inspired. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what that means to me. In fact, I think it really ties into what's happening right now, what's going on right now. Ramadan is happening, and I kind of wanted to talk about that spiritual journey for myself and just where I fall into that. But living inspired to me means having and admiring other humans or just other things in this world and just being inspired by them. I often think about my little human, Mikey, who when he sees something new, he's just like in awe. And y'all might hear him right now. I don't know. The mornings are lit over here. But he's just like inspired to learn and do more and play. And so live inspired really means to just continue to find inspiration no matter what is happening in your life. I think that there's a story that I remember. There was this farmer who lived outside this village, and he trained horses, and he lived there with his son. And his son was doing something, training one of the horses, and the horse tossed him off and he broke his ankle. Or nope, that's actually at the end of the story. Okay, let me restart the story. So there's this man that lives outside the village with his son, and they have horses. And so one day the son was tending to the horses, and the horse ran away. And the villagers came and told the man, hey, we're so sorry for your bad luck. And the man was like, eh. And then the son went out to go search for the horse, and he had found that the horse found a group of wild horses, and the group of wild horses started to follow that horse. So as he brought his horse home, he came back with a group of these wild horses, and the villagers said, we are so happy for your good luck. And the farmer was like, eh. So then one day the son was training one of the wild horses, and the horse threw him off and he broke his ankle. And the villagers came once again and was like, we are so sorry for your bad luck. And the farmer again said, eh. And then a war broke out in the land, and the soldiers, the army went through the village and grabbed every able-bodied man to fight in this war. And they got to the farmer and they weren't able to take his son. And so what this story shares is that in the moment, we're not able to fully see how something that is either perceived as bad or perceived as good really rolls up. And sometimes there's parts of our story that we will never understand why this specific thing happened. And I think living inspired is so key because it just keeps you going in those spaces and what you need. So I really love this. And it really ties into what I kind of want to just talk about today on this live, which is just spirituality. Let's get spiritual. Let's talk a little bit about that. Even as I'm talking to you right now, I have these incense burning. I have like tons of plants and some beautiful crystals around me. Just, I don't know if you guys can see. Oh, I'll go this way. Yep, there's an amethyst right there. I just have like tons of stuff going on. And I just admire the spiritual connection to God and the universe and the earth and just all of those things. It's really interesting. I remember when I was in Bali, so fascinating how they really honor the earth elements, and it's just really beautiful. If you've never been to Bali, I highly recommend it. Such a beautiful place. Like everything you look around is just beautiful, and the humans are just awesome. So I want to talk a little bit about what's going on right now in terms of spirituality. Ramadan is happening. So I'm pretty sure you guys have seen a lot of content around Ramadan. If you haven't, I can link some things in the chat or in the comments around Ramadan. So Ramadan is the holiest month, ninth month for Muslims, and it talks a lot about Ramadan in the Quran, and it's a month of fasting. And Ramadan starts at the sighting of the new moon and ends at the sighting of the new moon, and it's really fascinating. So I want to just talk to you guys a little bit about my story and how I'm not Muslim, but I've been practicing Ramadan. My family, we practice it and participate it for the last couple of years. So it really started with, so my husband, I posted about this earlier, so maybe you guys can go check the post, but my husband had went to Ethiopia, and the village in Ethiopia that he was at was split into two religions. There was Christianity and there was Muslims and Islam. And so what was interesting was my husband got his first interaction with someone that was Muslim because they thought he was Muslim because of his beard and just the way he looked, and they connected. And I remember him telling me about that, and I just was like, what a beautiful photo. The photo's up on LinkedIn, so you guys can go check it out. But it's such a beautiful photo, and he said that he talked to him for a while. And so that was like a few years ago. And so then we were preparing for our fifth baby, and I knew I wanted a home birth, and I was really looking for a midwife that had experience with multiple babies or multiple families that had more than 4 kids. And it was really hard to find a midwife that had experience with like families of 5, 6, 7, and 8. Well, my midwife did, and she's Muslim, and we immediately connected because it was really important, given that I was going to have a home birth, that I had a midwife that had experience with expanding families. And also, I didn't know what a family of 5 would look like with 5 kids. So just having someone with that knowledge was really helpful. So she was referred to me by my first midwife, who is my Montrese. And a mentrice is someone that is a midwife and acts as a doula. So I had my fourth baby in the hospital. And so this woman was my mentrice. And as I got to know my midwife, the midwifery care is so intimate, and all my visits happened at home. And Charlotte was, I think, 2 at the time, who's my fourth baby. And she was involved in like the measuring of the belly and like all of these really cute things. And the continuity of care with midwifery is just so amazing. So as my midwife got to know me, I got to know her, and she was talking to me about Islam and Muslim practices and all of these different things. And I just felt really connected to what she was saying to me. And it wasn't, so then I ended up having the baby at home. And I like to joke, baby Mikey was born on Christmas Day, surrounded by a Christian, a Jew, and a Muslim. And it was so magical. And I really treasured that experience, and I really honored my midwife. Absolutely love her. When we go for number 6, she will be the midwife as well. And through that, through my continuity of care, I got to learn about her spirituality and her journey. And then after I had the baby, then the following year, Ramadan was coming up. And so she had talked to me about it during my pregnancy, and she invited me to participate in Ramadan. And she told me what it was. And I was just like, wow, what a beautiful practice, and what a beautiful like way to slow things down. And when I went to the mosque for the first time, I was like, this is amazing. And I walked in, and it was like the diverse set of humanity was just represented in that room. And I just felt like all the love and the warmth and the community from it. So I learned a lot about Ramadan. And at that time I was nursing, so I wasn't partaking in the fast. So I just did other elements of Ramadan. I did charitable giving, or I would give my time, or I would participate in praying throughout the day. And so I did what I could. And I participated in the iftars, and I went to my first Eid festival. And interesting enough, one of the births that my midwife did 2 weeks before mine, her client is Muslim as well, and she connected us. And so we were going through pregnancy and postpartum together. And I just got to really know and love the warmth of the Muslim culture. And for me, I was like, I think fasting is such a beautiful, important journey for each human, because, and what's really cool about fasting is that you can fast on anything. You can fast on negative thoughts. You can be like, I'm not going to entertain these negative thoughts. They pop up, I'm going to shut them down very quickly. You can fast off of like soda or coffee, or like, it's a period of honoring. And what I really love, and fasting is very spiritual, because depending on how deep you fast, not consuming food or outside products, or that would be a dry fast. But like for a water fast, for example, it really just changes a lot of your body, and it just puts you in this heightened space where you just slow down a little bit. And I think with this reactiveness of our culture, and with everything that's going on in our ecosystem, having a moment to where you can take 30 days, 21 days, 2 weeks, a week or so, and just change and be very mindful of what you're intaking, whether it's physical or it's something you're watching or listening to, just has really great benefits. In Muslim countries, they tend to, everything starts to change and slow down. Sometimes they close schools or businesses. And so it's a really big deal. And also one thing I learned is like the Sabbath is, I believe it's like in Israel, they shut everything down. So once a week, that Sabbath is really honored. And I really feel like we could learn a lot from shutting things down and just taking that moment. And I found that Ramadan is such a beautiful way to do that. So my family and I have been doing Ramadan this is our third year. I will go to the iftars. I will be there at the Eid festival. I love learning about the culture, the call to prayer. If y'all have not heard the call to prayer before, it is just amazing. I experienced that in Bali. So when I was in Bali, I stayed in 5 different parts of Bali. And Bali has 2 main religions, or at least the island that I was on, which was Hindu and Islam. And depending on which part, like, it was so phenomenal. One part of the parts I stayed in Bali had the Hindu blessing, which was, I believe, 3 times a day. And it was in the morning, and it was just amazing to watch and see. And then they had like a festival that was going on, and it's just beautiful. And then the other parts of Bali that I was staying at that were more of the Islam religion, I would wake up and I would hear the call to prayer. And I was just like, what is this? And I remember my husband talking about it when he was in Ethiopia. And I was like, oh, wow, it's so cool. But to hear it live, like, I remember being in the malls and they played the call to prayer in Bali. And I was just like, wow, this is so beautiful. But, I think that as everyone is a being, understanding your spirituality, and it doesn't mean you have to have a religion. It doesn't mean that you need to follow a certain way. I kind of like to think of myself as like this life of pi kind of human, where I honor and love the Hindu culture. Oh my gosh, there's so much to talk about there. I love that culture. There's a lot to honor around the Jewish culture and the Passover and just everything around there. And I just love learning about these different things and incorporating them into my life, because I feel like, we're all connected. And, if I can amplify my connection to another human by understanding, I know that that's the best way to get all of these contrasting experiences that we came for. So that's a little bit about my journey for spirituality. I wasn't always this way. I grew up in Baptist evangelistic churches and Christian background, and not to say that I'm not Christian, but I've learned that it's more than a word. You can't get wet by the word water. And so for me, it's the act of, it's the being of, and making sure that whatever it is that I'm doing or practicing isn't divisive. Like, that's very important. And if it's exclusive versus inclusive, like paying attention to that. So I just honor and hold space for all types of spirituality. And during this holy time of Ramadan, it is just a beautiful reminder. It slows everything down and just allows us to really just get in tune and in tapped with ourselves as humans and connected to others as well. So I'm really excited for just everything. I'll be going, like I said, I'll be going to my first iftar soon. Yeah, it's just been awesome. So if you guys have any questions that I can answer, I've asked probably every question in the book around Islam and Ramadan and different things like that. So I'm by no means an expert, but I have a lot of knowledge. My family and I have a lot of knowledge in this. And, I stay very close to my midwife and her family. And it's just a really amazing thing. One last thing about Ramadan. So the call to prayer is amazing. What I absolutely love the most, even though I didn't fully understand what was being said, was the prayer. That for me was an experience that, like I said, try once because it was phenomenal. To just know that there's just to be so connected in that way. It was really cool. And one other thing I noticed in the mosque was there were people that weren't well, obviously I was there, I'm not Muslim, but there was no issue. There was a guy who's Muslim and had his wife there, and she was Christian. And there was nothing, nothing different there. It was just really awesome. So, remember while you're doing this thing called work and professionalism and business that you are this beautiful spiritual being that has been here to live inspired. And these contrasting experiences that take us out of our day-to-day, out of our routine, are so powerful. So connect with someone that is different. Learn about another culture or religion. Learn about other areas and depths of spirituality, and watch your life enrich and grow in ways that you can't imagine. Another thing that I want to share with you all on the topic of spirituality, while I do a solo retreat every quarter, which means I leave the kids, leave the husband, I get an Airbnb, and I just stay there for a few days. And it's my way of just resetting and taking a moment for myself and my ultimate love and deep in self-care. I don't have any mommy guilt. Like, I am very quick to be like, bye little humans, bye. Like, I just go out. So during my last solo retreat, on the last day that I was there, I went to this bookstore and this book called to me. It was such a cool book. So I'm going to share this with you. It's called How to Not Always Be Working. And what stood out for me was like, I felt during my solo retreat that I needed to get so much work done. And I was like talking myself in and out of it. And I was like, oh my gosh, on the last day I found this book. I didn't do any work, by the way, on my solo retreat. Well, I did a little bit of work. I'm not going to just relatively, right? I did a little bit of work. But what gravitated me towards this book was the author's name. So it's Marley Grace. Marley is how we spell. So our Marley is how we spell Marley. And then my name means Grace. And I was like, okay, this is a sign. I read this book cover to cover, and it was phenomenal. So if you want to know how to not always be working when you are supposed to be taking care of your spiritual or your self-care or your household or just anything, this is an amazing book. I'll give you a couple, maybe one or two things before we go. This book talks about what is work. How do you define work? And for me, I was like, let me list out, and it tells you to list out the things that you believe are work. And so you can see I listed out my things here. Some of the things that this author wrote down for their work is like answering emails, balancing the books, unlocking the front door to the shop, ringing up someone in the cash register. It's a really important question. What do you consider to be work? And then the other one was like, what do you consider not to be work? And so you write these things down. And so you know when you're working, when you're not working. So there's not that blur. The other thing that I really loved for this is it really talks about how you can not be working, and gives you exercises to really pay attention to what activities make you feel relaxed so you're not always working. So I highly recommend this book. I'm getting this book for my tribe because it's just so important to be able to understand those boundaries, and it flows into just giving and creating more space for yourself as you're going along your human journey. So that's all I got for today. I wanted to keep it short and sweet. No one joined in the chat, but that's okay. You guys can watch the recap. I know that there are human souls watching and listening. And so I hope this live was insightful or enlightening to you. And I just want to send you off with light, love, and gratitude. Oh, wait, I have something to read you. So usually I have people to pick a word, but it's just me. I'm not going to pick a word today. But I do want to read a quote to you before we leave. And this quote is from this book called Lessons from Plants. Okay, I'm going to close this out with this quote. Humans have the least experience with how to live and thus the most to learn. We must look at our teachers among other species for guidance. Their wisdom and apparent is in what they have lived. They teach us by example. Robin Wall Kimmerer. I think that's how you say his name. Her name, his name. I don't know. But anyway, that's the quote from this book. This is a really awesome book, Lessons from Plants. And if you haven't noticed, I love plants. So with that, thank you for being with me in the High Vibe Zone. Thank you for watching it live, the recap, wherever you may be. I'm your host, Sharice Fonts. You've been in the High Vibe Zone, where we talk about high vibrational conversations that transcend to help end the isms that are harming our humanity. Thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to see you guys next week, or not. I might actually cancel the rest of the month, but we'll see. Light, love, and gratitude for your day. Bye.